Hi, this is Mandy, and I'm going to be talking today about how to shade, specifically how to shade shapes and make them look more 3D, like this picture that I created. So we're going to start. I'm going to grab my colors, and actually I'm going to grab my pen and I'm going to create some circles. I'm using a Faber-Castell felt tipped pen on 100-pound cardstock, and I'm just creating some lines here, connecting these circles together, and you'll get an idea of where I'm going with it in a little bit. I'm just kind of creating the layout here. I'm using Arteza. They're watercolor pencils, but you can use any kind of pencil. I just want to have the option to maybe add water if I want, which is why I'm using the 100-pound paper. So here I'm shading in one of the orbs. Just chose a light color. I always want to start with the lightest color first because it's easier to darken the light than to lighten up the dark colors. And then I move to a second shade that's slightly darker, and I'm working around the edges, blending as I go. And I'm working kind of fast. Well, I've sped up the video here so that it doesn't take too long, but I am working fast. And you'll see I'm going darker and darker. I'm choosing darker shades and shading smaller areas to create that 3D effect, so that the light is coming from the top. Another thing to point out is that I'm also varying the pressure. So if I'm using a darker color and I want the edge to be very dark, I'll start off with using more pressure on the outside, and as I'm moving inward, I'm lightening the pressure, which allows the color to blend very nicely. So again, I started with the lightest yellow, and then I'm moving on to darker colors. Using pressure. Working from the outside in. So now I'm going to work on these connecting tubes, and that'll really kind of show you where I'm going with this idea. It's kind of this organic cellular structure, and I'm just shading in this kind of light yellowish brown color. Now I'm going to move on to the blue orb, and I'm looking for the right shade of blue here that I want that's darker. And then I'm going even darker, using more pressure. as I'm working my way around. Now I've got the darkest blue. And now what I'm doing is I'm going around, just lightly going over that black line so that it blends. So it's not just such a harsh line. I'm softening the black lines. You'll see I'll do that later. But here, coming in with a second darker shade of brown, working around the edges, and if you'll notice, I'm following the curve with the shading. Again, I'm using more pressure on the outside and lightening it as I move in. Now I'm going in with the darkest and softening that line, bringing it. Actually, this is the very dark brown that I'm working with, but I'm going to go in afterwards and soften up those really black lines. Softening up those harsh corners too. And that really makes those tubes look very rounded. Now I'm going around the green, this green orb here with the black, and I'm softening that pen line. Here I've got a red. Just to bolden up that orange sphere, and then again using the black. I think I used a little too much of the black on this one. But that's okay. I'll go in and choose a lavender for this orb here. And again, shading, a lot of it is about the amount of pressure that you're using. So it's a good idea to kind of take a sheet of paper and play with the different pressure, using pressure, going real hard and then kind of softening up as you move down or around. Dark royal purple, bringing the purple in, and then I've got the black softening the line. Again, I think I used a little too much of the black, but that's okay. Moving on to another, then the last two circles, going with a pink and a peach. out of the frame there. Sorry about that. What I wanted to show you here really is how you can shade and give a 3D effect to any of your work. So we're not following the same rules exactly here. Finishing up, and there you have it. Thanks for watching, guys.